but you can really see the devastation. And I think oftentimes people forget how much our lives still rely on wood, on fabric, on these disposable materials. You know, we live in a digital age where everything's plastic, and it's still easy to forget that much of our homes are built on items that can be totally ruined during a flood. And you know, the locals here are calling this a hurricane without the wind. And anybody who knows anything about hurricanes, most of the damage is done by the water anyway. So it's absolutely devastating to watch, and the smell is just god-awful. You almost see some semblance in the debris of organization where they tried to do insulation in wood and then just gave up and just started, you could tell there was an emotional turning point in some of this stuff where they just started chunking stuff to chunk it, where they weren't trying to save their yard or organize their garbage. It became unbearable, and that weight turned into a mount of memories and debris. Now devastation.
Well, it's been through a disaster of really epic proportions. Over 7 trillion gallons of water fell on the central southern part of the state in just about a 3.5-day period. If you can imagine, 31 inches of water falling overnight into your roads, your drainage, and your rivers, and your lakes, and your ponds. And all of a sudden, you end up with floodwaters all the way up to the eaves of the roofs of single-story houses.
This is the water level here on the window.
Yeah, this is where it's set. So, still it was rushing in and it would have hit higher. But this is where the water decided to sit, leave its debris. It's just something else.
It was around 1:45, and I looked out the door, and I thought what I saw was the gleam of water, but it took me aback, so I wasn't sure. So I got the spotlight and went out the door and turned it on, and it was like light on the ocean.
I'm here in Walker in Louisiana. As you can see around me, the devastation is incredible. There are hundreds and thousands of people who have had massive devastation to their homes. People have their entire worlds out on their lawns here. And what's really striking when you get out of a car is not just seeing the devastation around here, but actually the putrid smell of the toxic water, sewage, and all of the sort of sawdust and the drywall that is coming out of these homes. What you can see around me, it is a scene that really, in a first world country, is absolutely remarkable.
I went through Hurricane Ike with my parents, and the devastation. People weren't helping each other. They were trying to just get their stuff together. And without, out here, all these homeowners, they're actually working together and helping each other. This house, we had 60 people helping out with removal of everything and getting everything taken care of. So.
We left about 6 a.m. There was a lady next door. She had lost her husband a couple years ago, so we took her with us, and we had about 4.25–4.5 feet of water in different parts of the house, and we unfortunately lost about 90% of our possessions. Like most things in America, the government is a little slower much slower than the private sector. Instantly, people were in boats, worried about their neighbors because the water rose so fast. At our house, 7 feet in 18 hours. There's no way for the government to be able to do that. We know that the government is more inefficient at pretty much everything. Churches would have cars driving by, and people, just ordinary citizens with boxes or trays of food, and they would just stop and say, hey, do y'all need something to eat, or do you need something to drink? And if you want it, no questions asked. They hand you anything you want out of the car and they drive off.
The federal government response really was not really noticeable in the beginning. The first 4 days of the disaster really were controlled by the state level and local level, first responders and volunteers, thousands and thousands of volunteers called the Cajun Navy and now the Cajun Army came out with their fishing boats and rescued people, and I think that made all the difference in the world, really. You know, when you compare it to the death toll to the Katrina disaster, where volunteers were kept from going in, and the government response was really almost non-existent.
Yeah, we came from Houston. I own a roofing company in Houston. We primarily do insurance claims for roofs. We came out here, you know, my parents got taken advantage of after Hurricane Ike, so we came out here to help out with a lot of the homeowners. There was people gouging this homeowner over here. They told him $5,000 for one quote and $7,000 for another quote just to remove the drywall. So what we did for them is we removed their drywall for free. We're replacing all their drywall, still cheaper than what the person was going to charge just to remove it. The house over here, we removed their drywall for free. We've been helping out a lot of these neighbors out here and trying to get everything taken care of for them and making sure that nobody's gouging them. So
You can actually see exactly here what you were just talking about.
Right.
So that's a partially damaged tile.
Right.
And up there as well. I mean, the likelihood is you're just going to rip this whole thing out.
All of them. You know, many homes are using their backyards to dry out their memories. You have people who have served and pictures of loved ones who may have passed, and these are pictures that can't be recovered.
Well, there's been a lot of criticism leveled against Mr. Trump, but he's a leader, and I think that's why he's gotten so much support across the nation. And the true character of a leader really comes out in a crisis. What a leader does is they go to the point of the crisis. In the military, in the American military, we call it riding to the sound of the guns. We always do that. I did that when I survived the Pentagon attack on 9/11. We just rode to the sound of the guns and helped out and saved lives and stopped the fire and those kinds of things and just kept on working.
It is ultimately a good thing that they come here because it sheds light on the situation.
And of course, no-show Hillary Clinton, that's what we call her around here. She didn't even call it in initially. She just ignored it, maybe even tweeted about it, I'm not sure. But eventually she did call the governor, but that's not leadership. That's what politicians do. That's what politicians do.
I mean, that might just be a personnel issue with her. Who knows, right?
I've seen the Donald Trump people in action, so I don't need lectures from Hillary or from Obama about Donald Trump. I've seen it in action.
I mean, this has been every day for us in the Baton Rouge proper and greater Baton Rouge area. And still, you can't stop the cleanup. You work through the storm and through the tears.